Biology is a story of life on Earth. World consists of living and non-living organisms. How can we define living? So it's very difficult to define living. So we'll try to define what is living with the help of certain characteristics exhibited by living organisms. Some characters are definite and some other characters are non-definite characters. Now the characters are here. One is cellular organization, next one is reproduction, metabolism, homeostasis, heredity, response to stimuli, growth, development and adaptations through evolution. All these are the characteristics through which we can define living. The first character is growth. Growth is one of the hallmark of living organisms, means only living organisms can exhibit growth. Increase in mass and increase in number are the twin characteristics of growth, and growth occurs by division. In plants, we say the growth is continuous, means it is throughout the life, it is indefinite. Whereas in animals, growth is determinate, it is definite. It occurs only till certain age and after that growth stops. In animals, growth takes place in body parts, in all the body parts at the same time. Whereas in plants, growth takes place in certain specific parts where meristematic tissues are there. Coming to non-living substances like mountains and sand dunes also increase in mass by depositing waste, snow, all those things. So since non-living organisms are also exhibiting growth, we cannot consider growth as a defining feature. The second characteristic is reproduction. Reproduction is the process of production of progeny similar to the parents. Here the parents gave birth to the young one, a plant gave birth to the similar plant. So reproduction is a process of production of progeny similar to the parents. There are basically two types of reproductions called asexual and sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, from one parent, many offsprings are produced. Like fungi produces many asexual spores. Eastern hydra reproduce by budding. Here we can see a bacteria is undergoing binary fusion and it's making 2 bacteria, 4 bacteria, 8 bacteria. It keeps on increasing. In unicellular organisms, growth and reproduction are inclusive. Here we can see amoeba is dividing, means it is growth, cell division is occurring. But afterwards, if you see, it has become 2 amoebae, means it is reproduction also. So that's why we say in unicellular organisms, growth and reproduction are inclusive. Planaria shows a type of asexual reproduction called regeneration. Means if you cut the body of the planaria into many bits, each bit can regenerate the lost parts. So this concept of asexual reproduction is called regeneration. Then if we go with filamentous algae like Spirogyra, it shows a type of asexual reproduction called fragmentation. If the body of the Spirogyra is divided into 2 fragments, each fragment can grow and establish its independent existence. So Spirogyra, filamentous algae show asexual reproduction, a type called fragmentation. In fungi also, fungal hyphae, when they are broken, now that's called fragmentation. Again, each hyphae becomes established by itself. And another example for fragmentation, protonema of mosses, which comes in bryophytes. They are also fragmented and each fragment shows independent existence. There are many organisms which cannot reproduce. That's why reproduction is not a defining feature. The third one is metabolism. Living organisms are made up of many chemicals. If these chemicals are broken down, it's called catabolism. If the chemicals are made, it's called anabolism. All living organisms exhibit metabolism, so metabolism is the defining feature. Next one is cellular organization. Cell, the structural and functional, the basic unit of organisms, group together to make tissues. Tissues will group together to make organs. Organs will combine to make organ systems, and organ systems are present in organism. Such organization is found only in living organisms, so cellular organization is a defining feature. Next characteristic is consciousness, response to the stimuli. Here you can see the touch-me-not plant is responding to the touch. All living organisms, they sense and they respond to the environmental stimuli such as light, water and temperature. Even the sunflower plant responds towards the sun. The flower turns towards the sun, which is a response to the light. we humans in winter season, we wear winter clothes, means we are responding to the environmental temperature. In summer season, we wear summer clothes, we respond to the temperature. Humans are the only organisms who are aware of themselves also, means we have self-consciousness also. So since we can tell plants, animals and humans are showing consciousness, we can tell consciousness becomes the defining feature. So if we have to summarize the characteristics, which are the defining characteristics and which are non-defining characteristics, means we have seen that metabolism, cellular organization and consciousness are the definite characteristics, defining characteristics, whereas growth, reproduction comes under non-definite characteristics. So here we can see on the slide. So the non-definite characteristics are growth and reproduction. Why? Because sand dunes and mountains, they grow. Why reproduction is a non-definite feature? Because mules, worker bees and infertile humans cannot reproduce. So that's why these two are non-definite, the other three are definite. Now Earth is diverse with many millions of plants, animals, bacteria, fungi. There are 1.7 to 1.8 million species which are recorded so far, among which 1.2 millions are animals and 0.5 millions are plants. This is called biodiversity. Since it is difficult to study all the organisms, so we have to go with taxonomy. The three facets of taxonomy are: first, basing on the observable characteristics, we need to identify it, then we need to classify it. After classifying in a particular group, we have to go with nomenclature. Carolus Linnaeus is a person who introduced binomial nomenclature. Means every organism has two names. The first name is a generic name and the second name is a specific epithet. Interestingly, he converted his name also into binomial nomenclature. His original name is Carl von Linne, which was converted into Carolus Linnaeus. So the definition of binomial nomenclature says that it has two words. The first word is a genus word, is represented by capital letter and is a noun form. The second word is a species name, specific epithet, is an adjective form and represented by small letter. The biological nomenclature, the scientific names are derived from Latin language, which is a dead language, and when we are printing it, you have to print it in italics to denote the Latin origin. And if you are writing with the hand, you have to underline separately for the genus word and one more underline for species word. If we have to mention the author's name after the specific epithet, we can write the author's name in an abbreviated form in bold letters. There are organizations like International Code for Botanical Nomenclature, ICBN, takes care of naming the plants. ICBN, International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, here is the book, so in which all the plant names are mentioned. Another one, ICZN, stands for International Code for Zoological Nomenclature, will do the naming of animals. International Code of Bacterial Nomenclature will do the naming of plants, bacteria, and International Committee for Taxonomy of Viruses will do the naming of viruses. The process of grouping organisms into convenient categories is called classification. Classification is done on the basis of easily observable characters. Like plants, animals, flowers, dogs are different groups. Now each group, now if I tell it is green and it is photosynthetic, obviously we are thinking about a plant. If I tell it is colorful, it's attractive, it is a sexual part of a plant, then obviously we are talking about flower. If I tell it's an animal which barks, which take care, protection, that means we are talking about dog. So this process of grouping the organisms into different categories is called taxonomy, and each group is called taxon. If we also take the evolutionary relationships of organisms into consideration, then that branch is called systematics. Carolus Linnaeus is a person who used the word called systematics in his book called Systema Naturae. Here you can see his original name, Carl von Linne, wrote a book called Systema Naturae. Carolus Linnaeus, father of taxonomy, has introduced taxonomy, which has taxonomic hierarchy. So there are 7 categories here, starting from kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus and species. We can memorize them like keep pots clean or family gets sick. Now the first and basic unit is species. Species is a real unit, it's a real category. It includes a group of similar organisms which have similar fundamental similarities, and they can freely reproduce among themselves to produce new offsprings. Here we can see a group of fishes and a group of aquatic horses. Now, two species which are having similarities are grouped under one genera. The banyan tree and peepal tree are having similarities, so that's why they're kept under the genera called ficus. Potato and brinjal have similarities, that's why they're kept under the common genera called Solanum. Solanum tuberosum means potato. Solanum melongena belong to the same genus called Solanum. Solanum is one genus, Petunia is another genus, Datura is another genus. These three genera are having similar characteristics, so that's why Solanum, Petunia and Datura are grouped under a common family called Solanaceae. Solanaceae is one family and Convolvinaceae is another family. Now two families together which are having similarities are grouped under the hierarchy called order. The order is Polymoniales. Polymoniales is one order, Rosales is another order. So two different orders are kept under a similar class. Now the class is Dicotyledonnae. Polymoniales is one order and Rosales is another order, is kept under the class called Dicotyledonnae. Dicotyledonnae and Monocotyledonnae are kept under the division called Angiospermae. Gymnospermae, Angiospermae are kept under a kingdom called Plantae. Here you can see the hierarchy: species, genus, family, order, class, division and kingdom. So we have seen the pictures. This is a flow chart. Coming to animal hierarchy, now lion, tiger and leopard are having similarities, that's why they are kept under the same genus called Panthera. Panthera is genus of lion, tiger and cat, and cat genus is called Felis. Felis genus and Panthera genus are kept under a family called Felidae. So Felidae is a family of small cats and big cats. Felidae is cat family and Canidae is dog family. Two families are kept under the same order called Carnivora. Carnivora order includes Felidae and Canidae. One order is Carnivora, the other order is Primata. Primata is order of monkey, gorilla and gibbons, are kept under a class called Mammalia. Order Carnivora, order Primata are kept under a class called Mammalia. Mammalia is one class, Amphibia is another class, Reptilia is another class, Pisces is another class. All these different classes are grouped under a common phylum called Chordates. Chordates are the organisms which show nerve cord, notochord, postanal tail and pharyngeal gill slits. And chordates and non-chordates are kept under a kingdom called animal kingdom. Here we can see the flow chart of tiger, lion and leopard, Panthera with Felis, Felidae, Canidae, Carnivora, Primata, Mammalia, Chordata, Non-Chordata, Animalia. Here is a hierarchy of man, Homo sapien. Man belongs to a family, Hominidae. Man's order, Primata. Man's class, Mammalia. Man's phylum is Chordata. Next one is housefly, Musca domestica. It belongs to family, Muscidae, order, Diptera, class, Insecta, phylum, Arthropoda, family is Animalia. Mango, Mangifera indica, belongs to family Anacardiaceae, order Sapinidales, class Dicotyledonnae, division Angiospermae, kingdom Plantae. This is the hierarchy of wheat, Triticum dodocum or Triticum aestivum, belongs to family Poaceae, order Poales, class Monocotyledonnae and division Angiospermae, kingdom Plantae. Taxonomic aids will help us to do the taxonomy in a better manner. It includes botanical gardens, manuals, flora, keys, zoological parks. We'll see one by one. The first one is herbarium. Herbarium serves as a quick referral system and taxonomic aids. In herbarium, all the herbarial sheets are arranged according to universally accepted system of classification called Bentham and Hooker system of classification. This is a herbarium sheet. The standard dimensions are 29 centimeters into 41 centimeters, and the actual specimen is dried and it is sticked on the herbarial sheet. Preferably root, stem, leaf, flower, seed, everything part should be there. And the bottom part of the specimen, the bottom part of the herbarial sheet shows the information. It has all the information like date of collection, place of collection, area of collection, then its botanical name, English name, local name, which family it belongs to, and the collector's name. All the information is provided on the rightmost corner of the herbarial sheet. Here is a beautiful herbarial sheet. We can see here the flower, fruit, seed, every part has been covered nicely. The next taxonomic aid is botanical gardens. Botanical gardens are the collection of living plants for reference purposes. Here the plants are labeled with their local name, scientific name, and their families will be done. The famous botanical garden in the world are, the largest botanical garden is Royal Botanical Garden, which is at Kew, England. In India, the biggest botanical garden is Indian Botanical Garden, which is in Howrah. And another popular botanical garden is National Botanical Research Institute, which is in Lucknow in India. Now, botanical gardens are the places where threatened, endangered plants are preserved, conserved. So that's why botanical gardens comes under ex situ conservation of plants, living plants. Now, the next taxonomic aid is museum. Museums are the places where dead animals are kept for study and reference purpose. Some animals which are in paleontological era, Jurassic era, like that, the animals, the skeletons are preserved. Since they are not there now, we can have an understanding looking at their skeletons. Now here we can see the dinosaur skeleton which is preserved. Now those plant specimens which cannot be preserved in herbarium are kept in the specimen bottles using preservative solutions. They are maintained. If you have to maintain them in the wet state, we have to store it in the museum. And insects are preserved in insect boxes. We will collect them, kill them and pin them, and then they'll store it in the boxes like this for reference purposes. Now, big animals can be stuffed and preserved also. The next taxonomic aid is zoological parks. These are the places where animals are kept. People can understand their food habits and behaviors. So, in animals are kept in zoos. The other taxonomic aid is key. Key is for analytical purpose. Each key is based on contrasting characters. A pair of contrasting characters is called couplet. Each statement of a couplet is called lead. Here is a book which helps us to do characterization of angiospermic families. Then the other taxonomic aids are, one is Flora. Now, Flora is a complete list and description of the plants of an area, and it will be published in the form of a book. Flora tells it is a plant publication. Fauna means animal. Here is a flora of Rajasthan, flora of Florida, and flora, we can see another book also which is a flora of the list of plants which are present around the Krishnadevaraya University campus. Means flora gives us a description about the plants which are present in one particular area. Next, the other taxonomic aid is manual. Now, manual is also a collection of plants only. Manuals provides information for identification of the names of the species of plants found in an area. Here this is a practical manual of angiospermic plants. The third one is monograph. It is a book which contains information about one taxon, only one taxon, like kingdom, phylum, class. Now, Origin of Species is a popular book written by Charles Darwin where he mentioned about a taxon called species. So, there's a best example for monograph. The last comes is Catalouge. Catalouge is a list of plant taxa of an area which are written alphabetically in a systematic order, and even the diagrams are mentioned for reference purposes. Thank you.